Be Kind to Your Mind is a book for everyone, no matter where you sit on the mental wellness spectrum. Combining her own story with science and humour, the book offers an understanding on how the brain works and offers practical tools for mental well-being. Julia Grace, you've written a book. It's called Be Kind to Your Mind. Welcome to the show.
Kia ora.
Congratulations.
Kia ora, kia ora, kia ora. Oh, you're so exciting.
It is exciting. Now, I was very, very lucky because he said, could you pre-read it? And I did.
Yes.
And I really loved it. But I thought for those who don't know too much about the book, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory in the title, Be Kind to Your Mind. But can you explain it for us?
Absolutely. So, first of all, I do need to clarify that we are talking pre-release.
That's right.
Pre-orders for those who are super clever and quick off the mark, who've put their orders in or put them in between now and the new year. These are coming from me off my website. So officially going to be released early in the new year around 1st of February into stores. But I have got my hands on some here. So we are talking mental health tools. We're talking a combination of my story and the stories that I have that I know will be helpful to other people. So it's not a memoir as in, hey, on the 3rd of August I had toast for breakfast and marmalade, although, you know, I'm sure that would be fascinating. It's stories from my journey that can be used to help other people in their mental health journey.
Okay. And I mean, Julia, you have been sharing your journey of mental wellness with groups and with people for quite a while now.
Yes.
Now, I haven't read the book, but I believe that you describe life as a long series of getting knocked off your high horse and getting back on progressively smaller horses. And right now, settling up with a chihuahua. Now, we'll find out what more about.
I love that.
Yeah. We'll get an explanation about this.
Yeah.
And I know that we don't have to unpack. We don't have time to unpack the whole story.
Yeah.
But what do you mean by this as you explore your journey in this book?
What I mean is that life has this way of being really unexpected, right? And so, we're rolling along, and particularly with people of faith, I think we feel like if we make all the right decisions and we pray all the right prayers and we do this, we will end up with the right quote unquote results. The older I get, the more I realise that there is no promise that, yea, verily, it's all going to be sweet as, but there is a promise that we are never going to be left alone. So understanding that even though life knocks us off our high horse, as it has done to me many times, there is this beauty in just getting up, brushing off, moving on, holding faith, and just allowing the things that we've learnt to be part of our message and our journey moving forward.
I really like that, Julia. For those who can't see what's going on in the studio, and that's everyone listening.
That's it.
You've brought a jelly in.
I have.
So an actual jelly, and it's beautifully moulded. I'm well impressed.
Thank you.
I
It
really
held
am.
together quite well.
Is it a pineapple jelly or what is it?
Look, I thought I was going to get it green. So the cover of my book, for those of you listening at home, which is everybody, the cover of my book has a beautiful wobbly jelly on it because we talk in here about the wobbly point.
Yes.
We talk about the point to our bodies telling us that things are not well and we need to get some help. And we talk about jelly buddies. We talk about having people in our world pre-prepared to be there for us on the wobbly days. And I really wanted to make a jelly that looked a bit like the cover. I've got to be honest, it's a pales in comparison. Tom, I was going to say you should be jealous. I'm not sure how jealous you should be. But to signify the fact that we all have wobbly days.
Yes.
And that's actually okay.
I'm hoping we can try the jelly. Again, I don't know how that's going to work on radio. Sorry, Tom, you don't get to try it. But let's talk about those wobbly days because wobbly days can turn into wobbly weeks, wobbly months, and before we know it, we can find ourselves in situations that we really never expected to be. So, you've written a book with so many wonderful practical tools to help us.
Yeah.
But what would you recommend doing if you find yourself at that point you're going, this just isn't a wobbly moment anymore.
Yeah.
I need to do something.
In those moments, we need to be actually prepared to step outside of our comfort zone. And my hope is that people will have got themselves prepared in advance, but also that's not always the case. Sometimes we still get really unexpected, and actually understanding that we need to listen to our bodies. I think so often, particularly in faith circles, we've been told to ignore our emotions, to ignore our feelings and live by faith. And I completely understand that point of view. But I also want to bring to the table that challenging thought that God created our bodies, and He created them with stress triggers and stress responses, and He created them with signals that tell us that we need to dial back on the stress and actually maybe live in a more healthy way. So part of the process is going, look, it may be uncomfortable to ask for help. I'm going to have to do it anyway. It may be uncomfortable to admit to my boss or my workmates that I'm just not coping with the load that's on me, but I'm actually going to at some level do that anyway, and perhaps gathering someone around to help you have those courageous conversations.
Julia, just before we wrap up, and I know that, this is going to be unpacked in the book, but, Di was talking about before those wobbly days can become wobbly weeks or wobbly months. And you mentioned before the beauty of letting go and moving on. Yes, it is uncomfortable to ask for help, but is there great risk? Do we tend to hold on to things, too much when we get into those places?
Yeah, often I feel like I don't know about you, but often we don't want to burden others. So we think, oh gosh, everyone else is under so much pressure, they don't need added pressure. But I just want to actually remind our listeners how beautiful it is when somebody lets their guard down. When someone actually says, hey, I am not necessarily completely okay, I am a bit wobbly. And there's a beautiful moment because they actually invite you into their world and they give you something that you can do to help. And I think often we walk around with strong walls up thinking that's what everybody needs. But actually what we need to do is be a little bit more honest. And then what that can do is just everyone else go, oh, thank goodness. I don't know about you, Tom and Di, but, I'm not bulletproof. I'm a bit wobbly too. And I think there's a beautiful thing about that.
Yeah, helpful stuff. So you mentioned at the beginning, pre-orders are open now.
They are, yeah.
Who are you hoping is going to get a hold of this book? I mean, who's it for?
Oh, and I hate to say this, but literally everybody.
Yeah.
So I've very intentionally written so that people from faith or non-faith backgrounds can read this equally. I've made this, I refer to my faith in the book, but I've done it in a way that doesn't exclude listeners and readers because I really believe that everybody deserves good mental health.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted this to be something for young and old. I've had a huge broad scope of feedback and it has been well received by a lot of different people. So
it's really good.
Get it for son, get it for your mum, get it for yourself. It actually doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the book is Be Kind to Your Mind. Now, you mentioned earlier, Julia, you're looking at beginning of Feb 24 for the release of this. But if people want to go and pre-order the book, how do they go about doing that?
They just jump straight on my website, juliagrace.co.nz, and they can do pre-orders there and they can just be posted out. And just quietly, I'm signing all the ones I'm sending.
Nice.
And here's one for Di that's signed. There you go.
Because I read it on my phone, Julia, which is quite hard to do. So I'm glad that I have it.
You won't need your glasses so much.
Exactly,
Julia, if you wouldn't mind signing some jelly and leaving it in the fridge, I'll get to it at some stage.
That's right.
I look forward to it.
Hey, Julia, thank you so much for being on the show this afternoon, for bringing in jelly. Now, for those who are thinking, are they going to tuck into the jelly? I think we should do
just mindfully. I'll eat a little bit just to see how it goes.
Okay, how does it taste?
Right.
Tastes limey.
Well, you two
and
get
delicious.
into that. Be kind to your mind. February, look out for it. Pre-orders available now. juliagrace.co.nz. Julia, thank you for joining us on the show.
Such a pleasure.